Hi, Premier-designate. Such a pleasure to have you on our program. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you making the time. I was listening to a few of the interviews you did following your win, and you were detailing the nerves you had from, I think you said 4 to 10 yesterday last night. Has the weight of your victory and the historic nature of it hit you yet, or are you still kind of processing?
Well, I'm sure that in the days to come, we'll be able to talk to a lot of Manitobans and hear about what this means to them, which is what really matters. But I can tell you and your viewers that we're hard at work here, preparing to take government. And really, the election was contested on the issue of healthcare and on making life more affordable. So that's our top priority right now, and our plans today are to hit the ground running when it comes to healthcare and a more affordable economy.
And I do have a number of questions on those two exact subjects in a moment. I wondered if you could share with Canadians watching if there are any details at this point of the transition, any timeline you can provide.
Well, we will be working on this transition in the weeks to come. Later this afternoon, we're going to announce a couple of senior staff appointments, and we'll have some more details to announce tomorrow as well. However, I do just want to take this opportunity to thank the people of Manitoba. In your introduction there, you heard some of the reference to the fact that this campaign did take a turn towards the end, and there was some very divisive rhetoric being used by some of our opponents. And I just really want to thank the people of Manitoba for showing up to vote and sending a message that they would rather to see a message based on unity rather than division, and a positive vision for the future.
You spoke about your, and you have since the election as well, your laser-like focus on two primary issues, healthcare and affordability. I'll start on the first, and I essentially wanted to ask you about the nature of the promises you made in your campaign. They are ambitious, to say the least, right? You want to quote-unquote fix healthcare, and you want to address staffing right off the bat, including hiring 300 nurses and 500 doctors over 4 years, 200 paramedics over the first term, and reopening emergency rooms that were closed under the previous government. Should Manitobans be worried about your party's ability to fulfill proposals or promises that are that ambitious in nature?
Well, I think Manitobans responded to our message on healthcare, and they elected us to pursue an ambitious plan, because I know that Manitobans want to see better healthcare in their communities, whether that's in the city of Winnipeg or whether that's across rural Manitoba or the north. And really, one of the subtexts of this campaign, one of the things that we're saying is that we're not content to just say staffing up healthcare is going to be too hard for us to do. Instead, what we did was we listened to the experts on the front lines, and we put together a comprehensive plan. And then we said to the people of this province, you know what? This is going to be a difficult task, but the way that we do tough things in Manitoba is by working on them together. And so that's why, in addition to a very solid focus on healthcare, we also focused very much on trying to bring people together to earn that support for this mandate.
And I certainly understand why. I think there isn't a person in this country that wouldn't glean on or appreciate a message of ambition around improving healthcare, right? We're all dealing right across the country with staffing issues, recruitment issues, and really inadequacies in the delivery of healthcare. But again, those numbers, 300, 500 doctors, 200 paramedics, does your party have a plan that is specific enough in nature to actually address the enormity of that task? And again, is it realistic? I tried searching every jurisdiction to see, has something like this been done in a proportional manner in other and it's impossible to find.
Yes, this plan is realistic, and it basically comes down to 3 points. First, we got to plug the hole in the bottom of the boat, which means that after years of cuts in our province, we're losing people from the bedside. We got to stop that by fixing the culture in healthcare and putting in more work-life balance. Then the second step is we got to do the recruiting and the training to bring in the reinforcements at the bedside. But then the third piece that I think is very critical for both Manitoba but also Canada's healthcare systems is to build a healthcare system for the future. We need to inspire the next generation of healthcare practitioners to say, you know what, that sounds like something I can believe in. That sounds like a system that's going to serve people in my community better, and I want to sign up to be a part of it. And so that third point about inspiring people with a vision for the healthcare of the future is really why I took some time during the acceptance speech last night to send a message to healthcare workers that we need you at the bedside here in Manitoba.
You spoke to the Prime Minister as well today, and I'm wondering if you plan to, or if you already did, ask for any more federal money to help you in those endeavors.
Well, certainly we would like to see the federal government be a strong partner when it comes to the delivery of healthcare. And one thing that our team is going to push for at the national level is to have a nationwide healthcare staffing strategy. I am concerned that right now, with every province out there competing for the same healthcare workforce, Manitoba's going to get in the game. We're going to be right there competing alongside other provinces to get our fair share. But I am concerned that if we're always competing against one another, we may chase ourselves into a future where no province can afford or find a way to sustainably staff up our healthcare systems in the future. So in addition to staffing up our healthcare system here in Manitoba, I hope that our team can be a positive voice at the national level so that we can have a Canada-wide strategy for fixing healthcare.
Do you think there is a way, especially when it comes to staffing, because we've actually seen some evidence of that competition for staff already between provinces. Do you think there is a way for the federal government to navigate that? And would it involve kind of, a heavy-handed approach by the feds?
No, I don't think it can be a heavy-handed approach at all. What I think the federal government can do is to perhaps be a partner with the provinces. The provinces and the provincial governments are the ones who have the know-how in terms of the delivery of healthcare. So provincial government, like the one here in Manitoba, we have to be the one to set the course forward. But what the federal government can do, as a national government here in Canada, is to be able to help coordinate the plans across the provinces and to share information across jurisdictions. So I think if we have a partnership, if we have a collaboration, then that's how we're going to be able to bring forward a plan that works for Canadians as a whole. Well, of course, being the premier-designate in Manitoba, my interest would be to deliver good quality healthcare for Manitobans.
Beyond just healthcare, you mentioned before, and certainly was a theme of your campaign, that you'll do a lot of things around affordability. So think, for example, of freezing hydro rates or lifting the gas tax until things calm down when it comes to inflation. The Tories said that your promises amounted to like 5 or 6 times the amount that your platform assessed them to cost. Are you wedded to the idea of a balanced budget at the end of your mandate? Because that's what you're promising, but are you wedded to it?
I am. I intend to deliver on a balanced budget. And of course, the voices from the opposition, increasingly desperate as they became towards the end of the campaign, started to say all sorts of things. But the fact is, we brought forward a comprehensive, fully costed platform that shows investments in healthcare, investments in making your life more affordable, but also moving towards balancing the books.
Is that all possible, though? I know you're drawing on reserves, for example. If, in fact, there ends up being an emergency that requires money that was in the reserve fund, or if, in fact, economic growth is not what you anticipate it to be, given the instability in the global economy right now?
Well, what governments should do is to help people through a crisis. And right now, I see 2 crises playing out in Manitoba. One is in the healthcare system, and the other is in people's bank accounts, people struggling to get by month to month. And so certainly we need to prioritize these investments to help the people of Manitoba so that you can get better health care and to help you make ends meet and maybe have that extra $50 at the end of the month to be able to do something fun with your kids. Now, we are going to be prudent, we are going to be responsible, we are going to march towards a balanced budget, but it is important to support Manitobans through these difficult times, and so we'll have a balanced approach that balances both of those priorities.
And I certainly do appreciate that. I guess I would offer a respectful challenge that if, in fact, the rough times continue for longer than anticipated, might it require you to readjust your promise to balance the budget in the time frame you've put forward?
No, I don't think so. A 4-year mandate, I think, does give us the flexibility to be able to make the investments in healthcare and improving the cost of living, while also ensuring that we're balancing the books. And it is very important for us to have a balanced budget in Manitoba, because if we don't do that, then we're always going to be going back to the working person and asking for more. And I just don't think that's the right approach. I think we have to help people through this inflationary moment, make the investments in healthcare, but we do have to get back to balance in our province.
Premier-designate, I did, just before I let you go, want to also ask you about an announcement from the federal government today about the Prairie Green landfill and the desire of a lot of people to see that landfill searched for the remains of 2 First Nations women suspected to be victims of an alleged serial killer. The government announced, the feds announced today, $740,000 to basically continue studying the prospect of that search. I know the families of those victims want the federal government to commit to funding with the province to an actual search. Does this, in your view, come up short?
Well, I think we need to move ahead with the search, and that's something we've committed to in the campaign because it's about the dignity of these families who are mourning their loved one. And let's not forget, these families, their loved ones are the victims of one of the worst crimes that we've ever seen in Manitoba's history. So let's do right by them and let's move ahead. And of course, we're going to have to deliver on a lot of things like healthcare, like delivering on a more affordable economy, but I think we can help these families along the way too.
Do you expect the federal government to be a partner in that, especially when it comes to the cost of that search? And was that at all part of the conversation with the Prime Minister?
I would hope that we can work together with the federal government on this. I know that clearly not only the families but also Indigenous leadership has communicated to the federal government their expectation and their ask that the federal government participate in this. And so I look forward to being able to work together with all levels of government, because we know that municipal leaders will have a role in this too, to be able to do right by these families.
Just very quickly, did the Prime Minister offer you any assurances that that would be the case?
Our conversation didn't touch on that today.